Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I'm your host, Elliot Pierre, and we're going to start the show off the same way we start every episode off, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, so the fact that you spend it with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro. Okay, and we are back. As you can tell, I'm not on the set of the Mac City Morning Show. I am at Holy Trinity Junior High and High School, so big thanks to them for inviting us and letting us shoot some episodes here. The one thing that hasn't changed in the show is how I introduce my guests, because they can do a better job at that than I. So on that note, sir, can you please tell everybody at home who you are and what you're about?
Sure. Thanks, Elliot. My name is James Sousa. I'm the band and theater tech teacher here at Holy Trinity High School, and been here actually since our school was open.
Oh wow!
It's been a great ride being in this building and having all the extra features that a normal high school wouldn't have, like certain aspects within the theater and whatnot. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been an opportunity for us to expand programming throughout our school. So it's been a blast.
That's awesome, man. And that's a long career in one place. That's good for you, and a great place for what you're teaching. Like the facility that we're in right now, the theater is unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. So you teach band and
theater tech.
So what's theater tech?
So theater tech, we do we work with the lighting in the theater. We work with sound in the theater.
Okay.
We also build sets, and we build props.
Okay.
We do a little bit of also some live streaming stuff as well. So there's quite a bit we do as a group. So the students learn how to do the basics first, and as they progress from year to year, they just add on to the program. So they take more of a leadership role by their second and their third year.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe some of your students can come help me and Tanner out.
For sure. Anytime. Just ask.
Yeah. So I have a selfish question before I get to talking about yourself. Everybody who comes on the show that says they play an instrument or teach music, I'm trying to learn how to play the harmonica. And I need somewhere to actually go. YouTube videos and online lessons don't work. So I'm just planting a seed. If you know anybody who can teach me how to play the harmonica, it's something I want to pick up. So
for sure.
Food for thought.
For sure. Yeah.
I'd love to learn how to play that instrument. So I went to high school and I used to play the trumpet horribly. And then when I was a little child, my parents had me in a steel drum band. So I learned how to play the steel drums, also horribly. So I'm trying to learn how to play the harmonica, but I can't figure out, it's just for myself, I need somebody physically there and holding me accountable to learn how to do it. The YouTube videos they're just not working. So food for thought.
Okay, no problem.
Awesome. So now, in regards to Fort McMurray, you've been at Trinity for a long time. How long have you been in Fort Mac?
It's my 14th year in Fort McMurray, yes.
And what brought you here originally? Where did you come from originally?
The job really brought us here. So both my wife and I work in the district.
Okay.
So we were hired, and then we lived in Calgary for 5 years prior to going back to do our ed degrees. Right. We spent some time in Calgary and Banff actually as artists in residence. Both of us were. Okay. So we kind of had an idea where Fort McMurray was, and we ran into a current used to be a principal here. She's now working at district office, and we had a kind of a funny meeting because my wife looked at the sign and said, "Oh my God, Fort McMurray is so far away, right?" Compared to Calgary, because that's what we knew in Edmonton, and so we had an interview, and we got an opportunity to come out here with both of us being hired and doing something that we like to do. So we took the chance and came out, and we have enjoyed it ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, in regards to the two things that you teach here, if I was a youngster deciding on coming to Holy Trinity to either get involved in the theater component or the music, what would be something that I should be aware of?
You can start from scratch. Like, you don't have to have any prior knowledge. That's, I think there's always a fear of, oh, I have to be able to do this. I have to be able to read music, or I have to be able to understand how lighting design looks, or how to touch a board or anything. All the students start from scratch. So it doesn't matter what level you are. If you've taken piano, for example, for band, if you're going to do band, and if you've taken piano for 7 years, it doesn't matter if you've taken piano for 7 years.
Right.
Because you're going to be learning a new instrument. It's going to be something new, so you're going to be starting from scratch like everybody else. The only advantage you might have is you can read a little bit better than someone who has never read music before.
That's right.
But you're all growing together.
That's right.
So it's a step-by-step process. So I always live by the model that anyone and everyone can learn an instrument.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing how I see theater. Everyone and anyone can learn how to do something in theater.
Right.
It's just a matter of the drive and the willpower to do it, and just understanding that failure is part of the growing process. So,
yeah, no doubt.
So if you do mess up and make mistakes, it's okay. As long as you're growing and you're understanding and starting to build through your mistakes, and you get better over time, and then you realize that, you know what, I can do this. So, and we see that with a lot of our students.
Yeah. I think that's a great message in regards to be excellent at something, you have to fail. Like to push yourself out of your boundaries, you're going to fail. But on the other end is success. That's a great message. Now, as far as band is concerned, what instrument do you think is popping right now? What does everybody want to play? What are you seeing over the last few years? Because it changes, right?
Well, it depends. Like for some, it's because I don't want to carry a big instrument home, right? So they pick they pick flute and clarinet, which is small enough to put in their case, or sorry, in their backpack.
Yeah.
But then others, it seems like everyone has a diverse idea of what they want to play. Like we tend to push students towards playing some of the bigger instruments if we can. We always say, you're going to be our best buddy if you play one of the bigger instruments, right? So it just kind of gets us to get them more involved with the bigger stuff.
Yeah.
But when we do have students like that, we generally provide them something to take home, and they'll have something here, right? Just so they don't have that issue with busing and whatnot. So we try to do that as much as possible.
Okay.
But in terms of banging instrument, I think it's pretty even throughout. One instrument we don't see a lot of, for obvious reasons, is because it's a little bit of a difficult instrument, is French horn.
Okay.
It'd be nice if we had lots of French horn players, but you know, when we have our one or two, we hold on to them dearly. And just make sure that they stay with us as best as they can, and try to provide them the extra supports that they need, just like we provide everybody else. But those instruments, because it's a little bit more difficult instrument, it does take more time for them to work at it. But in all, everyone gets a chance to play everything. And a lot of our clarinet and flute players, if they decide to do jazz, which is the other aspect that I teach with band, they tend to switch, and they won't play clarinet or flute, they'll play saxophone, because the fingering is very similar.
That's right.
So it makes it a little bit easier for them to just do transition over.
Right.
So they get both worlds, right? Instead of just the one.
How many drummers do you have?
Drummers do I have? So I teach the senior component. So I'm with the high school students mainly.
Yeah.
But I do have a middle school course too. I teach the Middle School Jazz Academy as well.
Yeah.
So with the Middle School Jazz Academy, I have one drummer, who's doing a fantastic job right now.
Yeah.
And then for our senior group, I have two drummers. Last year we had 3 drummers, so we actually had 2 full rhythm sections. So we actually split and created a combo, so that way they have a little bit more time to work with stuff.
Yeah.
But this year with 2 drummers, it actually works well, because then they don't feel overwhelmed with the amount of music that we're going to be covering over the time period, right?
That's right.
And then for concert band, if you're playing, it's not drums, you're a percussionist.
That's right.
So you're learning how to play keyboards, you're playing timpani, you're playing all kinds of stuff. So there's quite a bit.
That's awesome.
With that. So
pretty
it's
diverse then. So you don't so you don't just pick one instrument and stick with it. You learn a variety of different instruments based on the, like you said, the area that you've decided to specialize in.
Yes.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like if, let's say I wanted to come and play a guitar. I'm passionate about guitar, I see it all the time. What other instruments would I be getting myself accustomed to?
So if we do have guitar as well in the school, so you can take guitar itself, right?
Right.
And usually if you're an advanced guitar player who reads, possibly takes private lessons and stuff like that, you have the opportunity to play in the jazz band as well. It gives you that, we give you that opportunity to grow a little bit in terms of that field. But a lot of our guitar players who just learn how to play guitar, they go right to the upright bass. And with the upright bass, we've got 4 of them in our building. A lot of kids love them because they're really cool looking.
Yeah.
and whatnot, but at the same time, they're a little tricky to learn, especially not necessarily the fingering, but it's the bowing, because it's the same first 4 strings on your guitar. So that aspect is easy enough to pick up, but it's the bowing that takes a little bit of time. But we have quite a few that play guitar and play bass as well.
That's cool. So. Now, when it comes to jazz music, obviously not the most popular genre in the world. I love it, and as I get older, I listen to more of it. But I've always been amazed that like the school programs, may it be junior high, middle school, Keano College, they all have jazz bands. Like, what is it about jazz music that is attractive to people learning to play in the academic world?
I think it's because there's a misconception of what jazz music is. Jazz actually contains many different genres. So a lot of music now, especially with the new people who are writing music, Christian Overton, actually, who runs Cloverdale Music, he has written some pieces that incorporates reggae. So you're not learning your basic, okay, this is a jazz component, right? So it expands the knowledge base a little bit, and it allows you to go into genres like pop and rock and all kinds of stuff. So I think it's more of a misconception of why. But jazz also, what's nice about jazz is you can do it with a smaller ensemble. You don't need a large ensemble like a concert band where you would need a player on each part.
That's right.
You can do it with small combos and stuff like that. So that makes a difference as well.
So the one thing that I want to get out there for people watching at home is, like, obviously you have the students that are learning. That being said, it's really nice to support the youth. So what is it that you guys are doing that people at home who might not actually be attending Trinity, how can they support your young adults in their endeavors in music?
I think big thing is if they can come out to our shows, our concerts, right? I know we do go, well, with the pandemic, not so much at this point, but prior to it happening, we would play a lot of stuff on outdoor concerts and whatnot. So, but that really shows our support from the community. So when they're involved with coming into our building and coming and see a show or coming and see us play at an event or something like that, that really shows the support for the kids. So if anyone in the public would like to do that, you know, that's where we would love to see them come on out and come and check it out.
And how can they find out about those different events?
So we're going to be involved also with the Winter Arts Festival. So we're doing a concert night. We have 2 nights, and then the jazz band's playing for a couple of the opening of Annie, and then also the dance or the closing night. So they can come on out in those nights and come on, if they're just coming to see those shows, they can just see us. We'll be out on a secondary stage playing, and they can come and check us out there. We usually broadcast those events through Twitter, but we also do it also on our web pages, etc., Facebook, all kinds of stuff. So they can see us anywhere on terms of those things, or they can even just reach out to the school, and we can let them know when things are happening.
Now, before I cut you loose, what's your instrument of choice?
My instrument of choice? Well, my instrument of choice is actually French horn, but I don't play French horn. Explain. Well, it has a little bit to do with when I was doing my undergrad at Western. One of my teachers, my mentors, he always talked about the French horn being the heart of the band. So that became kind of my mentality, and I just loved the sound of the French horn. You could hear it all the time in movies and stuff like that, and they usually have the nicest lines. But my instrument is trumpet. Yeah, I'm a trumpet player, and then I also play piano and sing a little bit on the side too, and whatnot. So
trumpet is like what you're...
That's what I studied.
That's what you studied. That's what you throw down on.
That's what I throw down on.
But so as a music teacher, and this is why I do the show. I just get to ask questions and learn stuff. So you've learned how to play the trumpet. You can play the piano. You can play all these different instruments. How did you collect enough knowledge to then instill it and help other people play those instruments better? Like, how does that work?
A lot of failing. Right? So I failed a lot at trying some of the other instruments, and then over time just learning how to play them, the basics, you know. It's through mentorship too, right? So when you're doing if you're doing ed degrees or whatnot, you do spend some time learning how to play other instruments. It's part of the actual education process. but a lot of hands-on learning. Like you had to grab something, take it home, work on it a little bit, get the basics on it, and understand that. A lot of reading too, and watching YouTube, right?
Yeah,
So there's a lot of things that helped build that process, and then but it's a lot of it's just a lot of time and experience, but it's a lot of understanding that it's okay to fail because you'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
And that's all right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my man, that's the end of the show. But before I cut you loose today, everybody gets a shameless shout out or plug. So the camera's on you, the light's on you. Have fun.
All right. Well, shameless shout out. I got a shout out to my wife, Marissa. Right. This was awesome. Maybe next time you get to go on.
There you go. Brownie points coming your way. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, my man. Definitely appreciate it. Anytime you want to promote anything that you have going, please feel free to come to the set and we can do this all over again. So,
awesome. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Yeah. All right. Well, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world, thank you very much for tuning in. That's another episode of the Mac City Morning Show in the can. Really do appreciate that you tuned in. So thank you very much. Hopefully you're having a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
What a deadly old way to end another morning show. Later, boys.
It's so ballistic! Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.